Hello, everybody out there in Facebook land. This is Monty with 412 Productions, the art of Monty Anderson. Welcome to the show, everybody. And we are here to entertain. I don't know if we're going to entertain you or not. Are you not entertained? Who knows? You might not be. You may be. You know what? I'm probably not even on here. Welcome to the show, everybody. I'm Monty Anderson with 412 Productions. And some of that didn't even go out to you live. So I didn't have my button on. I didn't have my button on. But welcome to the show, everybody. As the title says today, a much needed getaway. We went up to Branson for the day yesterday. Didn't do everything that we wanted to do, but we did quite a few things. And it was fun hanging out with girlfriend's sister and her boyfriend. And for a short bit before we parted company and did our own things. And but it was a much needed getaway of not doing pretty much anything at all. Uh, and sometimes you need those days to get away and just be. Um, you need those days to recharge. Even though we were both kind of tired yesterday, we still got away from the normal hustle and bustle of everyday type stuff. And sometimes it's needed just to recharge yourself, to rejuvenate yourself. And in doing so, I ended up with a new opportunity. So a friend of mine reached out to me and was like, "Hey, would you like to work on a comic book with me?" I'm like, "Well, fuck yeah!" So there's that. So that'll be fun. But today's going to be all about artwork and the garden once it becomes light outside. So right now, it's all about the live show. Got to see a lot of cool stuff that you normally don't get to see. Got to play with some ostriches and some emus and some. Well, we had goats here, so the goats weren't that spectacular, other than seeing, your different sizes and how what we truly should have got for the yard instead of what we got. We should have got the pygmy goats over the Nigerian dwarfs, you know. But then she fell in love with one that was, I'm pretty sure it was a Nigerian dwarf too, but she was just like a dog. She was all up on you and wanted lovin's and that's all she wanted. She didn't even want the food that they gave us for the Promised Land Zoo, and so that was cool. Um, but it was a good experience. They had lions and tigers. We didn't see any bears. Oh my, out there, but they had a little bit of everything. Uh, it would keep you well entertained, as I will post pictures of later, including a video of her sister overcoming her fear of big birds, and not from Sesame Street. Um, the ostriches come straight to the window, and so do the emus, and they stick their head in there and try to get in your cup and all that stuff. And it was quite humorous, but her being deathly afraid, not me, of them, she was worried at first. Let's put it that way. And and as you can hear in the video, she said, "Just push them away, just push them away," you know, by her sister. And it was quite humorous, and it got about 3 minute, almost 4 minute video of it all. And so that's a pretty cool thing. But there was a lot of cool things to look at. Everything from tortoises to this huge African frog, African rainforest frog. Sucker was massive. Uh, all different types of reptiles. Well, not all, but several different kinds of reptiles, and a lot of their stuff is rescue animals as well. So if I remember correctly. But welcome to the show, everybody. I am Monty Anderson, your host here at 412 Productions, and today at some point in time we'll be getting our drop from Mr. Ben Dunn, as long as he doesn't forget me, which I doubt he will this time. But to I'm not sure which one we're getting yet. It could be a new Tomorrow Girl. It could be um, I don't know if it's going to be Ninja High School since we just covered those two, 197, 198, and the actual no, not from that one. I'm sorry. I'm pretty sure it was Tractor Lad guy reached out to me after watching my live and recorded obviously what he watched, and he reached out to me and said I'm glad he liked that I he was glad that I liked his book. No, no, not Tractor Lad. Boom! It was the Section 13 group. So the one that had the crossover with Tomorrow Girl, and so he reached out to me and was like, "Glad you liked it." I told him, it was, it opened my eyes to some of his new books, or some of the books that he has. So we will be looking at his new titles too, and hopefully he has some more cool stuff to do because they still have another crossover event slated for the next Tomorrow Girl. Not sure when that's going to be yet, but I mean, it could be the next drop. It could be this drop that happens this Friday, and so we're looking forward to that. So that was kind of cool too. So had all kinds of cool stuff happening yesterday behind the scenes while we were out and about, um, running low on battery life and all that good stuff. Even though we have a dual charger in the car, we both forgot about it, and until we're both. I mean, she's down to like 14%, and I'm down to like 6% on my battery life. And then we're like, why aren't we using this? That's what she said. And we're like, well, because we both forgot about it. Even though we bought it a long time ago off the TikTok shop. But welcome to the show. Please like, share, and follow. That would help us out a lot, a lot, a lot, a lot. Um, there's still a lot of stuff that I've got to get done. I'm hoping this new C++ stuff that I put on my computer um, is going to help my problem because I believe it is a C++ problem with my Adobe Illustrator, and I'm hoping that that fixes my problemo. Uh, because if it does, I'm taking this logo that I've already drawn up by hand, sticking it in the computer, redrawing it in Illustrator, and making the changes a million times easier than um, me having to go back in here and do it by hand. Now there is a semi-easy way to do it by hand, but it still means a lot of whiteout from what I've already done, and that's fine if that's what I have to do. Um, but I'm hoping that this fixes my problem. So please, 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 Mr. Internet Gods, let this work. Those type things. But no, you've got to get away and recharge your battery, just like recharging the battery on your phone. And if you don't ever get away from your normal hustle and bustle of things, you just get worn down. You get to the point of exhaustion. You get to the point of burnout, if you will. And why do you want to burn yourself out? You know, me, I always think that I have to be hustle, bustle, work, work, work all the time, no matter what it is. I have to be doing something constantly. Otherwise, I'm going to die. I'm like a shark. I got to keep swimming. If I stop swimming, I die. And that's been my mentality for a long time. And a lot of people have tried to tell me to slow down. A lot of people have tried to tell me to take a break, to, you know, step away from things that you do. And you're already filtering out comments. Are people saying things and I'm missing it? I don't even see any comments, period. So how can things already be filtered out, you jackass? Some comments in this live were filtered to protect the community's experience. What the fuck is being commented? I mean, I can understand some things being commented that you want to filter, but nobody's even commented yet, jackass. TikTok, you're a piece of work. But I'm probably gonna get a restriction for that too, but whatever. Um, but yeah, sometimes you just have to back away. And like I said, a lot of people have tried to tell me to back away from you don't have to work all the time. No, I really do. I've got things backing up. I've got things, you know, that I've got to get done. And and with new work coming in on a regular basis, you get a little farther and farther behind. Pretty soon I'm going to be working on this massive art piece. Um, that is like 18 by 24 on paper. Not a painted piece, but I mean there'll be paint on it too, but mainly it's going to be pen and ink work and marker, but there will be end up being some paint on it too. I'm 100% sure on that. And then I've got another piece that I'm waiting for payment on, um, and then I'll get started on it. You know, and I've got to get these logos done for him, for his clothing line, and it's just things. There's always that needed getaway that you need, and sometimes I don't. You don't see it, and it can recharge you because, like, yesterday, yeah, I was still sore from lifting 150 to 175 pound pallets on a regular basis. But today, I don't feel as sore, you from not having done anything yesterday. Let's see. And so it's just like, did that fully recharge me? No, not 100%. But it allowed my body to rest. Even though we were out and about doing things, it wasn't like I was having to lift a bunch of stuff or be completely physical with things or any of that type of stuff. And so, it was a recharge to the body. And I got a decent amount of sleep last night. Um, Falling asleep by, I guess, 10 o'clock last night and waking up. I woke up before I was supposed to be on the live, but it still showed that I got about 6.5 hours worth of sleep, which is really good for me. But, you know, especially when most nights are 3 hours or 4 hours or 4.5 hours. I don't get that full 8 hours of sleep like some people do. And if those of you that are joining us like the shirt, it's what's called a club shirt from back in the day. It's older than some of you that are coming on the program. I guarantee it. Because it's got a date stamp on here. Right here. It says 2001 Marvel. This was even before Marvel was bought up by Disney. Speaking of Disney, Star Wars, Mandalorian. So, welcome to the show. We are talking about recharging your body. When is the best time to recharge your body? Once a week, 2 times a week, 3 times a week. Some people are like every day. They, unfortunately, a lot of people have to work every day. I am one of those people that are at home. on a regular basis, just because I am a disabled veteran, and so um, just artwork does supplemental for me. It pays a little bit of the bills. Um, well, I'm about where Trump is then, if that's what it got. One guy that says that he heard that Trump sleeps for like 3 hours a night or something wild. Yeah, I usually get about 3 hours of sleep a night, or like I said, or four. So, but I function pretty well for only getting that amount of sleep because I've been doing it for years. Military helped a lot of that, but I was getting up. That's why the title of the production 412. That is not a Bible verse or anything like that. It is from when I used to get up, and eh, I don't know if it's tough or not. I mean, it's just how my body functions. Because I can sleep soundly for you know like those 3 hours or 4 hours, but as soon as my body says, "Hey, you're up," you're up. I mean, I try to go back to sleep sometimes, and it just doesn't work. So I get up and I start my artwork. So what is going on? I have to stop my stream over here because I've got no kilobytes going out whatsoever onto Facebook. I've got to see what's going on over here. Absolutely nothing's going on over there. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Ricky, for the comment on the shirt. Like I said, it's probably older than most people on the show right now. It's from 2001. It is a club shirt. It is my X-Men shirt. And Wolverine is the main feature there. I used to have a Hulk and a Batman one, but the Hulk was like didn't come in the right size, and you couldn't reorder at that point in time when I ordered it. So, and then I don't know what happened to the Batman one. I think the Batman, it was either the Hulk or the Batman one got ripped while I was playing basketball. Can't remember which one did that. But what is going on over here? You're right. The secret to that: do not dry your shirts. Let them air dry. And he says it looks damn near brand new, and it is. There's only a couple of small flaws on here, like it's missing one button down here at the base. But other than that, it still looks brand new because I do not dry my shirts. I wash them and then I hang them to air dry, and that's pretty much any graphic shirt that I own, which is pretty much 98% of what I own. And so I do not dry my shirts. And sometimes when I did have the clothesline basically outside that we created, I would let them air dry outside, and so that was always a good thing. But you always got to watch for birds on that one because birds flying overhead and all that stuff. Yeah, you don't want that on your shirt, just like your car in the mornings. So there's that little bit of knowledge to spread to you today. But yeah, no, must get away and recharge periodically. Thank you for the likes. I appreciate that. Please like, share, and follow all my other channels, which you can find up here. Not you guys on YouTube and Facebook, but here on TikTok. You can go up here and you can follow my other socials by going to my website. Once you get to my website, you will see this logo. And right directly underneath that logo, you will see all of my socials from Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and then you're already here on TikTok. Again, I appreciate the likes and the love here on the channel. It always helps push us up there because I usually end up with 98% better um, views and things like that than people with similar comment or content going on. Which here it is comic books, artwork, and things of that nature. The two items we do not talk about here are politics and religion, because once we do that, people start losing their damn minds, and we don't need that here. We want to be drama free. Now, sometimes there is drama, but those are the two subjects we avoid talking about here, just because people do lose and tend to lose their damn minds when it comes to it. Uh, I really need to get these graded. Right here, Hulk 181, 182, my trash can finds. For those of you that haven't heard that story, I've talked about it many, many times. But these are the originals. These are not reprints. These are nearly semi pristine copies. A little bit of yellowing on the inside. But right there, those two books in hand alone could be worth, depending on where they come back. When I'm still thinking of debating on getting them graded, because they can't switch my copies like I've heard happen at CGC here lately. Um, so that's been a big rap on, or a hit on CGC, is that the story goes, and it's unsubstantiated stories, but a lot of people have heard that CGC takes and puts a lower grade copy in the um, in with the book itself, or like takes it apart and puts a lower grade copy inside, and re hooks up there to a better copy if the inside copy looks better than everything else, and they will resell it later at a higher price, because I've got a nearly pristine cover with a nearly pristine inside, because hey, that came through like that. No, it didn't. Um, and we've heard a lot of stories from people that CGC has ripped a lot of people off when it comes to the grading process and what they do and how they switch covers and things like that, or the insides and those type things. So it's got me a little leery on getting these actually graded at sending them in and all that stuff. But mine would be a little bit harder to take the cover from, just because mine has writing on it. And I've got a million pictures of these things, inside and out, front and back covers, all those good things. And so it would be very, very difficult for them to rip me off on mine. So, you know, I mean, this is a great copy. Not a copy, it's the original. But it is an awesome cover. I mean, an awesome piece right here in and of itself. This is the first full appearance of Wolverine. This one, the record sale, I think, was $135,000 on this comic book alone. I don't know what grade that was, but you know, I'm figuring this one come back above a 7.5 at the most, probably around an 8.2 or something of that nature. But and the other one, 182 as well, just because it's got nice sharp corners on it. Um, Great color on the covers because they've been stored in boxes. Now, the only downfall to them, they were stored in Ziploc bags, so it kept the only air being circulated inside was inside that Ziploc bag. So they did get a little yellowing because of that. I don't know when these were purchased, or anything like that. I don't know if they were purchased, day of when they came out, but the person who owned them, the big flaw with them, whoever owned it, and I wish I could get in a time machine and go back to them and be like, look, do not write on your comic books, because these are going to end up in my hands, you know, and do not seal the Ziploc bags. Leave them open to let the air circulate. There'd be a lot of things that I would tell him to do, completely different, you know. But since I cannot go back in time, um, and tell him these little tricks and secrets of things that you do with comic books, then, you know, we have to live with what the outcome was. And his biggest flaw was this right here. You see that little number on here? This was like his cataloging number to his comic books or something. I don't know. And he did it on a majority of his comic books. I'm not going to say all of his comic books, but he did it on quite a few of his comic books. I'm saying him because I don't know if it was a he or a she. Um, and and yes, on some of them, since they aren't key issues, it holds the value at a lower value just because it's written on. But key issues and getting things graded are not going to affect the value that much because CGC, that's one good thing that they don't mind, is writing on the cover. Now, if it was drawn all over the cover, that's an automatic downgrade to like a 0.5, a 0.5 to a 1 point, because they still have to look at the overall book as a whole, but then they have to also take into consideration all of the markings that are on that book itself. And if it's just a little mark on a key issue, it doesn't matter. Just like the Hulk 181 here, I saw a 5.5, and this one's a much better than that. Sell at auction for close to $5,000, and it had Larry written on the L. Not somebody that worked on the book. It wasn't an autograph or anything like that. It was somebody's name who owned the book. So Larry, his copy at 5.5 sold for nearly $5,000 at auction, and that was probably 6 months ago, maybe a little bit longer than that, maybe 7 months ago, 6 or 7 months ago, and that was through one of the Hip Comic auctions. And if you don't follow Hip Comics, you should, if you are a comic book collector, and you have slabs. Now, if you have just raw issues, you might want to go with a different company than um, Hip Comics, because Hip Comics basically does graded copy prices. So, and if you do have a lot of slabs, which means what a slab is a comic book that's encapsulated with a grade on it already, which I have two on my wall back here. And one of them is the very first comic book that I ever read, which was an Uncanny X-Men comic book. Mallory says I think I have a Mad Magazine comic book. Anyone interested? Well, you have to. What issue is it? How pristine is it? Is it bagged and boarded? There's a lot of factors with that. I'm sure there's a lot of people that would be interested out there. And if you want the biggest interest, oh, of course. And if you want the biggest interest on that one, Mallory, Facebook Marketplace, there's a lot of comic book stuff out there, or just even posted on Marketplace itself. Um, but you can take a picture of it on your Google, and it should give you a price. So I've got a lot of Mad magazines here myself, and that came in this collection of comic books that I got. Basically, trash can finds. You know, so this potential $8,000 comic book right here was found in the trash. you know, so don't sleep on some trash can finds. Um, but yeah, there's a lot of factors out there, Mallory, that will get you the best price for that comic book. And there are Mad Magazine collectors out there, for sure. I used to be heavy into Mad Magazine when I was a kid. Not so much anymore. I mean, Mad Magazine is still around because I was at the Dollar General just yesterday, and there was two different Mad magazines sitting there on the shelf. I was like, wow, we're still making Mad Magazine, huh? So, what year is that magazine? Do you happen to know, Mallory? So, I've got a lot of old 1970s, maybe 80s Mad magazines that came with this collection. 1980s, okay. I kind of figured because that was in its heyday, spy versus spy stuff, and a lot of their parody stuff that they had. I gotcha. She's not sure because she has to get out of storage, and that's where a lot of people have their comic books. Hopefully, it's climate controlled or in your house storage. Um, it's just like these 27 boxes of comic books that I have sitting right here to my right there. Um, they're in climate controlled conditions, and that's the best way to keep your comic books is climate controlled. Just because if you get the temperature too high, it automatically starts yellowing the comic book immediately. Too much oxidizing. There we go. Of the comic books, um, and you can damage the interior comic books really, really well. Um, just like if you have comic books in your house, hopefully they are not um, in direct sunlight. Like my two copies on the wall, they are not in direct sunlight. The sunlight is a good distance away from them, and so the color on the cover will never fade. I mean, it will over time, but generally they put this UV coating inside these containers on that are slabs, and it keeps it like that. She also has a local paper from 9/11. I I'm not sure if I still have mine or not. I got a lot of my magazines that I wrote in for a a newspaper um, when I was doing article reviews and things like that for different bands and things of that nature. And so um, I've got a lot of those, and I might still have it running around here somewhere. The 9/11 stuff, but those are very popular, Mallory. And if you have that in plastic as well, that will help you out on that too, because a lot of people like that. I see a lot of in antique stores, the 9/11 stuff, a lot of John F. Kennedy stuff, the newspapers, and a lot of Elvis died papers, and those type things at the antique stores, and they're going for a pretty decent price. Like the JFK stuff, I've seen some upwards of $30 or more. Um, the 9/11 stuff, I see that. I've got some Life magazines and stuff like that running around here. I think with the 9/11 stuff on them. But yeah, no, that stuff is very popular in certain areas and certain niches. But if you do happen to pull that out of Mothballs, the Mad magazines, shoot me a copy of it. Send me a picture of it. I'd like to see it. And you can do that by going up here and hitting me up on Facebook or Instagram or even YouTube. YouTube, I think you can send pictures. I'm not 100% sure, but definitely on Facebook and Instagram, you can send me a picture of that if you want. I'll check it out for sure. On the Mad magazine, the 9/11, I lived it. Not like lived it, but I watched it go down. Whenever they started airing it on TV, as most of us did, because that's all that the news was when 9/11 happened. But yeah, definitely for sure, hit me up there, and thank you for following the live here. I appreciate that. But definitely go up to my website. Yes, it was completely horrible, and a lot of people make fun of it today, and the conspiracy theorists and all that stuff. As to why it happened and so on and so forth. But we'll never truly know what was the true transcription of all the events that really happened that day and what truly led up to it. So, but everybody blames something or someone for the whole incident happening. And then you've got your conspiracy theorists that place the blame somewhere else, those type of things. And that's why we talk comic books and artwork here. Because once you get into the conspiracy theories and all that good stuff, it opens up a whole new realm that that people run off on. I'm sure you get my meaning. And there's certain things that I can't say here, just because we'll all get restricted. And just like I can't talk about my prevention that I have posted on my uh, YouTube and Facebook right now. It is a text number that you can call if you're having thoughts of crawling under the dirt, if you will. And I can't say certain keywords here without getting flagged and restricted. I get a little restriction notice right up here. It says, just like earlier, it was filtering out comments, but no one had commented yet. And it's just like, how can things already be getting filtered when there haven't even been any comments that I've seen come through? Now, if it's a lot of derogatory stuff like that trying to come through or whatever, yes, they're going to possibly go ahead and censor that for whatever reason, even though, we're supposed to be having free speech and non censorship and things of that nature. But things still, certain keywords still get, you know, flagged on your site or on your page if you say them one too many times. And see, that's a touchy subject there too, on who owns it, because there's a California-based hub, that owns certain rights to TikTok, but they say it's owned by a Chinese company. Um, but who knows where the true line leads and where it really is. And I don't know who owns TikTok 100%. I have no clue. You know, but we do know who owns Red Note out there. You know, because that one is a straight up Chinese deal. And what I was reading on that one or heard on that one is that if you don't follow their rules on there, you could be thrown in their prison for a Chinese prison by not following their laws. So go figure. And a lot of Americans jumped on that bandwagon. I think some of them are still there, but I'm not 100% sure. I don't go over there, and I'm not. I don't know everything. I just know what I see, what I read, what I go do research on, and and that's what everybody needs to do is do their own research on whatever topic they are talking about. They need to do their own research. They need to go find independent sources. They don't need to do the mainstream media sources that only lean towards one side or the other. They need to go find an independent source that is neither this party, or this party, but something in between all of that pulls out the truth. You know, it's just like they say in every story. There's this side of the story, there's this side of the story, and then somewhere in the middle is the truth. You know, so just like in relationships, this person did this person did this, but somewhere in the middle is the true story, and that true story never gets brought to light. Because this person is telling their side of the story, and their side of the story makes them look immaculate. Well, this person's telling their side of the story, and it's making them look immaculate. But somewhere in that middle is the truth, and neither one of them are telling the whole truth. You know, and in their mind and in their head, they are telling their truth, and but they're leaving out specific details. 'Cause I had it happen to me. A friend of mine, while I was going through a divorce, the second one, ignorance is bliss versus truth shall set you free. Yeah, I mean, the truth shall set you free as long as you can say it truthfully. Mallory, I like you. You got some good points. And like I was saying, a friend of mine, while I was going through a divorce, he reached out to my soon-to-be ex because he asked for permission, and he's married too. But he's been not a lifelong friend, but a good friend of mine since 2014, 2015, somewhere in that range. And he was like, "Hey, can I talk to her, see what's going on?" I said, "Go for it." I was like, um, "You can listen to her and all that stuff." Well, he called her up or texted her or whatever they did. I think they texted back and forth because she's not a phone person. And he, um, hey, what's going on? Blah 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 blah. And he was just trying to help the situation, see if we could get back together, all that good stuff. Well, um, he comes back to me and he was like, "You didn't tell me everything, did you?" And I was like, he was like, "You didn't tell me about this, this, and this." And I was like, "Here's the thing. When we were at church together and we were trying to work things out, there's a video out there that tells all the wrongs that I did in our relationship, and it points them all out. And I didn't leave out anything for him. I said, did she tell you about how angry she gets over certain situations, no matter what it is? Did she tell you about her beating me in the head while I sat down and she just started wailing on my head with her fists and slapping me and hitting me until her frustration got out? That once it was out, I walked out of the room. Did she tell you about this? Did she tell you about this? Did she tell you about control issues? Did she tell you about this? Did she tell you about this? And he was like, no, she didn't tell me any of that stuff. I said, exactly. I didn't leave anything out whenever I told my testimony. But there were a lot of things that she was leaving out that she still hasn't come to terms with. And I even told her that I hope she sought help for her previous marriage that she is holding inside, um, because she wouldn't even tell me aspects of that, even though she claimed that she loved me so much and she trusted me so much, but she still couldn't tell me what happened in her last relationship. And it's just like, and I told her that if you don't ever get that out, even to your therapist, that you're never going to be healthy for another relationship down the road. And maybe she doesn't want another relationship down the road, you know? And it just came down to the point where, you know, yeah, she's telling her truth. I'm telling my truth. And I fucked up in my relationships. Okay. And I know I did. And I haven't been silent about that, you know? And it's just like, but I don't make myself look immaculate or look like a saint because I know I never was, in any of my relationships. My two marriages that I had, my two failed marriages. And, but for the other party to try and make themselves look like they did nothing wrong, period, in any of their relationships, that just, rubs me the wrong way. And I see it happen in a lot of relationships on a regular basis. And it's just like, no, there's fault. There's two people in each relationship. So I'm sure that there's going to be fault. Now, there could be the complete dick, out there that they could care less about their partner that they're with. They're always looking for the next thing, you know, and that does happen too. But I'm going to say that's about 40% of the population. And that goes for guys and girls alike, not just guys or girls. It goes for both. It goes both ways in any relationship. And because I've seen it one too many times in the job I had. It. I would get everybody's problems. I became the office therapist, if you will. Everybody brought their problems to me, be it personal, be it work related, whatever. I got their frustration because I would listen to them, whereas most people would just blow them off, you know. And I would break out my pen and paper, put them on the conveyor belt and say, okay, now tell me, why do you feel like your dad beat you as a child? No, nothing like that. But a lot of problems do stem from childhood and what happened while you were growing up. Now, some people had a great childhood. I thought I had a great childhood, but I know I had a lot of screwed up situations in my life as a child. But my generation, we were outside till dark. Our parents didn't even know where we were because we didn't have cell phones. You know, um, we were at friends' houses, but then we weren't at that friend's house. We were at another friend's house, and then we weren't at that friend's house. We were at another friend's house, and so we could be 8 miles away from the house, and our parents not even know where we're at. And it's just like when my cousin and I decided to go through the drain grates or the drain tunnels under the city. We got to a point where we're crawling out of this drain system. I mean, it started out, it was over our heads. We were standing up, nice and tall, walking through this drain system, and it kept getting shorter and shorter and shorter until it started getting to a tube, and then a smaller tube, and then pretty soon your shoulders are against the concrete, so you're dragging yourself and kicking your feet, and you finally see a light at the end of the tunnel, and you get out finally. But had we got stuck in there, no one would have known where we were at all, and we probably would have died right then and there. Um, but we did crazy things as kids, and instead of turning around and going back or scooting ourselves back to where we could get up and move, you know, we kept going. So that was my generation. We yeah, it was totally crazy. But we did crazy stuff back then. You know, and you see crazy stuff happening today. But had we had video cameras back then, you would have saw some crazy shit. I mean, just the stuff that we did on our bicycles, on our BMWs. You know, it's we should have died multiple times over. Let's put it that way. Oh man, it was just a different world back then. I mean, you could leave your doors unlocked and not even worry about anything. Nowadays you can't leave your doors unlocked for anything. Um, and up until I think up until the late '80s, I want to say it was like '88, '89, maybe even early '90, 1990. We didn't lock our doors. You know, our doors were unlocked 24/7. Even when we were going to the grocery store, we never locked our doors, even though we had a key to the front door. We never locked them. You know, because why? We didn't have to. We didn't have the idiocity that we have today, where, oh, well, this house looks abandoned, or this house I definitely looks lived in. Let's go inside. You do that in my house, you're not walking out. Let's just put it that way. That's a guarantee, not a threat. That's just a guarantee because someone busts into my house. End of story. You know, I've got certain things around here that will guarantee you're not walking out of the house in the same shape that you walked in. And that's a sad state that we have to be in today. But that's our society. Our society is full of idiots. I mean, we get the people that think that they have the right to bust into your house. And I'm not talking about the police or SWAT team or anything like that. I'm just talking about the individuals that want that next high. I'm in Arkansas. Was in Oklahoma for most of my life up until 2010 when I got remarried and moved over here to Arkansas. But Arkansas is a beautiful state. Lots to do here. when it comes to outdoor stuff, hiking, fishing, uh, boating, kayaking, rivers, mountains. You got everything to do here. It's very awesome. And just like we went to Branson yesterday and enjoyed a day of getaway with my girlfriend's sister and her boyfriend. We were with them for a short bit. Drove through the Promised Land Zoo, all that goody good stuff, and it was fun. It was just a getaway, to recharge and not do anything here at the homestead because we've got chickens and ducks and a pig and on my property, and now I just opened up the back section of gardening area, which we've got plants in the ground. We'll definitely have to water them today because I think the rain starts tomorrow. I don't think the rain starts today. I'm not 100% sure. But I think the rain starts tomorrow here. And then it goes until, well, it might start today and go through Monday or through Sunday. I know it's supposed to rain Easter weekend, like it does a lot anymore. And so that's going to help water the garden. I got to go put in some more plots so I can put some more things in and get them ready for the rain, if you will. And hopefully they don't wash away. But yeah, no, we have a huge. It's not a huge spread because it's less than an acre, and but we have let's see, what about 30 chickens and two ducks, one pig, and then of course our indoor outdoor barn cats basically, which we don't have a barn, we got a garage, but they're good mousers. Yes, Mallory. By golly, it is raining this weekend. Yes, unfortunately, it's going to be raining. I'm not sure where you're at either, but we're in the Fort Smith, Arkansas area, and it's supposed to be raining this entire weekend. And I'm wanting to say it might be starting today. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I can check that out real fast. If it won't pop up for me. Come on, wake up. Let's go. Let's go. Let's do it. All right, let's see. We'll see if I can get the weather forecast over here. Come here. Let's see what it tells me. There's a high pollen danger, that's for sure, happening over here. Let's see what it has to tell me. Bum, 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 bum. Where aren't you talking? I don't want all this other crap. I just want the. There we go. I want that. That is what. It's pulling it up. We'll see what it says. We'll see what it says. It's being awfully slow about it though. But yeah, no. The last look I saw, it was supposed to be raining Saturday, Sunday, and clear Monday. Um, but I thought the rain was supposed to start today here in Arkansas. But again, it is being super slow about pulling everything up right now. Even though I've got green lights everywhere. Slower than molasses running uphill in wintertime. But yeah, no. But yeah, the rain is supposed to hit this weekend. I'm not sure if it happens today, which if it does happen today, then I will be, you know, getting out there first light after doing some artwork and getting the chickens out to free range. But if it is raining, they'll probably stay in their coop. Let's see. Yeah, tonight it's supposed to start raining, so it's later tonight. Well, about 1 a.m. this tonight, which is when it's supposed to start raining, and go until Sunday. So yeah, Saturday and tonight, which means later, way today. The wind is supposed to pick up about 11 to 3, and then it starts getting cloudy at about 5 o'clock, and it could potentially rain about 7 p.m. is what it's saying. So yeah, this weekend is a bust if you're doing some outdoor activity, unless you've got a bunch of rain jackets and tarps and canopies that you're going to put your Easter eggs under. Looks like it's going to be an indoor Easter egg hunt. Which, if you do go to church, they do have those events sometimes held indoors for the kiddos if they cannot get outside. Now, not everywhere is going to end up with rain. So, in your area, just look to see what your weekend is going to be if you are doing Easter plans with the family and the kids. Which we don't do any Easter plans. We don't do that. We don't buy the Easter baskets and things anymore. It's all that grown up stuff. My kids haven't done Easter basket for them in a long time. But they are in their 30s. Well, one of them is in the 30s, the other one's in their 20s. So, 23 and 34. I think that's right. I could be wrong, but I think it's right. What is April? My daughter just had her birthday, so May. We had another birthday in July and March. So, and then my nephew's birthday in there as well. So, yeah, I got a few birthdays coming up. Mother just had her 82nd birthday, still going strong, even though she's falling again. But it was due to a cow impression in the ground. So, Mallory, Easter baskets, I miss them. Yeah, they were fun as a kid, and then even getting them periodically. Uh, that's one of the, I guess, strange things that I really didn't care about as an adult, especially at a certain age. Like when I got remarried in 2010, um, her mother did Easter baskets for the adult children still. Even you know my now ex-wife still got an Easter basket. So that means which meant we got an Easter basket together. And it's just like, save your money. Why buy all this stuff? You know, and it's just like, yeah, I get it if it was a kid thing. I totally understand that. I just don't understand it as a adult why you want an Easter basket. Now, if you do want an Easter basket and you miss the Easter baskets, then get one for yourself, and and live that life of having that Easter basket. You know, just for you. Present it to yourself if you've got no one else to present it for you. And it's and I get it might not be fun, you know, but there's always that option. You always have the option. Or get your friend and be like, hey, let's exchange Easter baskets. You know, you get with a friend of yours, a good friend, and be like, hey, let's exchange Easter baskets this year, or let's do it for the next X amount of years. You know, if you truly enjoy and miss them, there's options out there for you. Um, I mean, heck, start you a business of that where people can order Easter baskets from you, have specific ones set up, and be like, they order it from you, it gets delivered to someone that misses them. You know, That would be a great business. So I just pitched a business idea for somebody out there, and so that would be cool. It's just like different things. Just like the candy grams or the fruit. Um, what is the fruit floral arrangements or whatever they are that people get sent to them. Just like the singing candy grams or singing excuse me or singing whatever it is, that for a party or invite or whatever. There's lots of options that can happen, and that's a good one. That'd be a good one for people that enjoy but don't get, the Easter baskets. So there you go. And I'm sure it's out there. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if it wasn't out there. So, but it is what it is. I mean, there are a lot of things that happen from your childhood that don't follow you, that you kind of don't miss. I mean, in a way, uh, different aspects of it. We can put comic books in them. I mean, that would be a good one too. I've got a lot of dreams and aspirations of what I want to do, as I'm doing them. Just like starting my own comic book, and now I've got the potential to work with another friend of mine who wants to start a comic book together. You know, and so that's exciting. And um, this year has been full of twists and turns. I'll put it that way. And it's been a very interesting year since I revamped my business. And um, and from there, and I'm being called Danny Bonaducci again, and no, that is not who I am. And we don't even look alike if you pull the pictures up. So you know, the since I revamped my business to 412 Productions, a lot of things have changed and a lot of things have happened. And it's you're open to contributing to a comic book, possibly, FYI. That'd be cool. I mean, there's a lot of potential when it comes to uh, building a comic book. Like I said, I'm in the works of building mine. Uh, you got to think mythological and uh, pagan, if you will, in mind right now, because there's witchcraft, there's mythological creatures, there's cryptids, there's the puzzle piece that TikTok wants you to do after you've been on for an hour. No, I'm just kidding, but that's not in my book. But it's about an antagonist hero who didn't want the moniker of being a hero, but it was thrust upon him in such a way that he has no choice but to pick up that mantle and continue it on. So I'm looking forward to it. It's just that with everything else that I'm working on, I've had to put my own project on hold. Oh, King, what comic books did I read growing up? Wow, that's a long gamut of comic books. All right, so starting with my very first comic book that I picked up in 1987 from a friend of mine when I stayed the summers with my grandparents was Uncanny X-Men number 183, the great battle between the Juggernaut and Colossus, and three unlikely superheroes walk into a bar. Sounds like a joke, but it's not. And they walk into the bar to chill for the day, for not being superheroes for the day, is what they were trying to do. Well, in walks Juggernaut as Mario Kane, and a battle ensues between him and Colossus, him and Peter, and Nightcrawler's wanting to jump in because Nightcrawler, Wolverine, and Colossus all go to the bar. And Nightcrawler's wanting to jump in and help, and Wolverine's like, well, it's their fight, but if it gets too carried away, we'll step in. And it does get that way, and Wolverine is standing on the bar, looking eye to eye to Mario Kane or Juggernaut. Let's just go that way. And he's got his claws out, and he says, "It's over. You're done. Walk away before it gets worse for you." Well, he does, and they pick up, Peter, and they all go home, go back to the mansion. And so that was the very first comic book I ever read, Uncanny X-Men, and that was my love of comic books at that point on. Now he had a subscription to other stuff because he had a subscription to the Uncanny X-Men, but yes, I can totally imagine those at the bar, those guys at the bar. I mean, and what happened happened. It was great. I mean, I loved it. I've got a 9.6 copy over here on my wall. Plus, I have ungraded over here in my comic boxes. Um, but yeah, but that was my first comic book love to pick up ever. And then after that, I started reading the off the wall stuff, especially in the 90s, because I really didn't start collecting until I was like 1995, 96 somewhere. Well, before then, because I actually went to my first comic book convention in Dallas Fantasy Fair in 1996, and met a lot of people. So I was reading The Crow. I was reading, um, of course, when Spawn came out, all the 90s stuff, all the Image comics. I was reading, Swamp Thing, Man Thing, any horror comic that was out, House of Mystery. So I wasn't just dedicated to one side or the other, um, but my love fell right here, Uncanny X Men, because that was the first book that made me have to open up a dictionary and say, what the hell does this word mean right here? You know, and that's a great era in comics, and I hated when they ended the run in 2002 of the Uncanny X-Men, the 1963 run. And then they've revamped it. I think they're at volume 6 now, and it's just not right. I hate it. And that's the sad part about it, is that they've changed a lot of the characters to fit in with today's society, if you will. Yeah, the evolution of Scott was good. I mean, it was, they have to evolve all the characters, unfortunately. I mean, it's just like Archangel, from Angel to Archangel, and then back to Angel again. He molted his metal shell, and but still kept some of the components in there. And Beast, I mean, going from Hank McCoy, already altered as a human, but then boom, his own lab experiment turns him into this blue beast, you know, and he can never go back, just like the Thing, can never go back to Ben Grimm, and it's just so many different stories. A lot of the stuff that I didn't get into was just like Captain America, Superman. Those were two of my least favorites out there. Batman was my gig as well. Loved all the Batman books. Um, oh, geez, that's a tough one because there's a lot of cool actors out there, but you want somebody young enough because Wolverine is a lot of years old, but in the comic book, he still looks like he's in his 30s. You know, so you would have to find somebody that was relatively young to portray him. A lot of people have put Hardy in there. A lot of people have put uh, the Superman actor. Can't think of his name right off the top of my head right now, which is a no go because I saw him in the Deadpool Wolverine, and that was ridiculous. Um, some people have Ratcliffe as the next Wolverine, and so I really don't know who I would want to cast as that. I would almost go as a full unknown, someone that's got the physical build, um, because they're going to portray him as a 6 foot tall something or other in the movies, even though he's only like 5'5", a Canadian 5'5", Badger like Wolverine esque, and you know I think he's 5'5". or it could be 5'2". I can't remember because I just can't see someone out there right now that could portray that character without looking at their other acting abilities that they've done in something else. It's just like Liam Neeson trying to do something, but all of his movies look the same. You know, now back in the day, whenever he some of the older stuff that he did, completely different actor, 100%. I think he's 5'5". I'm pretty sure. I used to have that whole who's who books of all the characters that gave all their dimensions and weights and heights and what all their abilities were and the Marvel dictionaries and things like that. But I could be wrong on that. Um, but I'm gonna check that out real fast because we can do that here. And those were awesome dictionaries. I loved them because it gave you all the insights of all the characters. And I used to have those in my collection. I don't have any of them now, but um, get out of my way. Bum, bum, bum. Oh, we're both wrong. 5'3" is what his height is in the comic books. Now in the TV or the movies, he's you know um, his official height is listed at 5'3", 160 centimeters, which is notably shorter than the average superhero. This is a defining trait of the character, emphasizing his scrappy, tough as nails demeanor and making him stand out as a gritty underdog. So there you go. He is 5'3" according to the comic books. But yeah, I thought he was 5 foot. Well, hold on. That, I don't even remember what I said. But anyway, yeah. So I knew he wasn't 5'8", and I knew he wasn't 5'2". So I might have said 5'6". So in there somewhere. But yeah, he's only 5'3", and but you know that's 3 inches taller than my mother. Puck was. Let's look him up too. Got it right here. They're not giving me. Oh wow, Puck is way shorter. Puck was only 3'6", 225 pounds. Brown hair, or hair was brown hair with bald most of the time, with his black mustache. But Wolverine versus Batman, that one's a good thing. Overall, the cunningness, the the stability, and all that good stuff would go to Batman. Okay, and um, but the overall, you get Wolverine one on one. Wolverine's probably going to dice him up because yeah, Batman could render him unconscious with all the gadgetry that he's got. But if Wolverine got that one little thing to take away his gadgetry, all Batman's got is his martial arts skills, which Wolverine would be able to counteract with his movements and his fighting abilities that he's learned over time. Because he studied Wolverine, you got to think has studied every aspect of different. Exactly. Because, but you've also got to think though, the timelines he's grown up in, all the different aspects that he's learned. from being at the Japanese section, being through combat, having to learn all the hand to hand stuff, all the boxing stuff that he's learned, being a Canadian, so on and so forth. And Batman, yeah, he's mastered the martial arts of certain things, and but he relies on his gadgetry more than he does the physicality of it all. And so, yes, Pharaoh mode Wolverine, game over, 100% slice and dice. You've got a bat kebab going on. So, exactly. He's got unlimited endurance because it regenerates, especially in the early days before that brought in the adamantium that's killing him. Because that was never even written in the first however many issues of Uncanny X-Men or Wolverine, you know. And then all of a sudden, oh, my adamantium is killing me. And then I come back with the stone. Who made up Wolverine? Len Wein was one of the original creators of Wolverine. Um, Now there was another person, and I know Len Wein was one of them. Oh, I'll give you a second. And whom I met, and and he was a great dude. He signed about 50 items of mine. So you had Chris Claremont, Roy Thomas, Len Wein, and John Romita Sr., who all created Wolverine. Len Wein being the writer. Uh, well, I appreciate it. This shirt is older than most people on my show. Let me just tell you that. Because right here is the date stamp. Right here. 2001. Right there. This was what they called a club shirt back in the day. And I had three of them. I had this one, I had a Hulk one, and a Batman one. So, it was very cool to have these shirts. Uh, so there you go. That's who created Wolverine. Basically, Len Wein and John Romita Sr. Created him, and then everybody else had a little bit of a hand in him to, uh, you know, create who he became later on. Yeah, yeah, and those guys, Chris Claremont, genius. Len Wein, unfortunately gone before his time, to continue on, and it's just like boom, right there. Let me look here. Thank you for the likes. I appreciate it. It's always helpful for the program. Da, 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 da. Animal Keen Senses. Bum. So how it went was Roy Thomas asked Len Wein to devise a character specifically named Wolverine, who was a Canadian of small stature and with a Wolverine's fierce temper. John Romita designed the first Wolverine costume and believes he introduced the retractable claws, saying, "When I make a design, I want it to be practical and functional. I thought if a man has claws like that, how does he scratch his nose or tie his shoelaces if they don't retract?" Wolverines first appeared in the final teaser panel of The Incredible Hulk number 180, cover dated 1974, October. Written by Wein and penciled by Herb Trimp. So there you go. That's how it came about. He was asked to design a character specifically named Wolverine, and Len Wein was up to the challenge, and John Romita Sr. drew the first costume, which was the iconic black and white or blue and yellow costume here that looked like a Wolverine. Yes, this is the actual 1981 full picture of Wolverine first comic book of Wolverine right there. Yes, yes. Everybody likes Wolverine, and that's not just in the comics either. That's oh, it's Hugh Jackman. Oh, oh, melt, melt, melt. I have his autograph right up there, by the way, and Liam Schreiber as well. So um, I have their autographs right there on my wall. Well, I have a lot of autographs on my wall. Some I've met in person, some I have not. Just like Adam West over here. I met him back in the 90s, you know, and that was pretty awesome. And then some of these other people I haven't met in person, but the wall behind me, I have a lot of autographs back there. I have an original James O'Barr that I bought off of eBay a long time ago. So it's not of the Crow. It's of a what he called Tiny Dancer at the time. It's a ballerina, and my ex mother-in-law used to call it soft porn, but she's fully clothed. Um, I missed something. Hold on just a second. Let me see here. Raymond. I'm trying to see what else you said. Yeah, Mallory, I saw the Liquid Television, and I wasn't a huge fan of it. I liked MTV as MTV, and yeah, because I liked MTV when it came out originally, when it was nothing but music videos, and they didn't have all this live reality shit going on, and that's just me. It was a big bag, but I regret it. What big bag? I'm trying to think of what big bag you were talking about. But yeah, Wolverine going toe to toe with the Hulk, yeah, that's pretty crazy. Especially when Hulk, the madder he gets, the stronger he gets, you know. And and it's just like with VH1. If you remember VH1, it was all music videos to begin with. And I do enjoy a challenge series from MTV. I don't even know what that is. I believe me, I stopped watching MTV as soon as like Jersey Shores and any of the reality TV shows hit. I was done with them because they stopped playing music videos except for like 1 hour of the day. You know, I remember Headbangers Ball. I remember, all the good stuff. Yo MTV Raps. And and they would play the lighter stuff at the beginning of the day, all your crooning songs and things like that. But then it got into this to the heavier stuff, and then the rap stuff, and then the heavy metal stuff, and it so on and so forth. And I miss those days. And it's just like I just can't do it. The reality stuff that I watch learns me something. It learns me something. Big hair videos are hilarious. Yeah, I mean, but that was my era. Even the dudes had the big hair. You know, if you look at some of our yearbooks back then, you're like, oh my god, you guys killed the ozone layer with your hairspray. Now I didn't use hairspray, but all the girls sure did. Um, and I did have the typical um, uh, it escapes my head, and the party in the front, or the business in the front, and party in the back. All that good stuff. But yeah, but but no, that era was just completely different. His wife's yearbook picture is hilarious, as most of them were. I mean, we've got a reunion coming up, which I probably won't go to because I haven't been to one of those since what was it, our 30-year reunion, 20-year? I think it was our 20-year reunion actually. And you find out some new things about people. Like um, one of our guys ended up shooting his wife in the face with a shotgun. And he's in prison now. So yeah, same here. Same here, King. I was 1990 baby too. I'm 53. I'll be 54 this year, and you know, still above dirt. They've tried to put me under it twice with 2 heart attacks. And but I'm still here. Both main arteries to the heart. Boom. Have a stent in there, and You know, it's all goody good stuff. I appreciate the likes. I appreciate that. That helps out the broadcast channel. Yeah, 35-year reunion coming up. Yeah, yeah, we've got ours coming up, and I'm wanting to say it's like in June or something like that. I can't remember. They've got the whole Facebook page for the school and all that stuff. So it's just like, yeah, I follow it and I comment on some of the pictures that pop up every now and again. But it's just like I probably won't end up going again because you know that's a different part of life now. you know, and uh, and so it's just like, there's no sense in going, especially if my ex-wife is going to be there. I don't need to rehash any of that stuff. Because yes, my second wife was we went to high school together, and so if she would, yeah, I've never been to one. Yeah, unfortunately, I went to the first one, and I think that was right about the time um, we were starting to date after my first marriage failed, you know, and so we got back together, and well, not got we were never together, but we got together after some tragedy stuff hit in my family, and it's just like, and please like, share, and follow, and I'll do the same. But you can also go to my other profiles up here on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and you're here on TikTok. So, uh, but yeah, no, it's just one of those things. That was a part of your life. You had friends back then, and you grew apart from those friends. And and I doubt she would probably be at that reunion, but she could. And it's not like I would, be angry with her or anything like that. It's just I just don't need to see it. That was a part of my life, 12 years, that we spent together, and that part's over. So it's just like it's time to move on from that. So if she's going to be at the reunion, I'm probably not, and vice versa. She's probably thinking that I'm going to the reunion, which I'm most likely not going to go up to the reunion. So she can go all she wants to, because she still has. Well, I guess she still has friends. I mean, there's a lot of people that she doesn't talk to, like I do, from that group. So a lot of people didn't like her anyway. So you live and learn, live and learn. But yeah, but folks, I appreciate you all being here and shooting the breeze with me for almost an hour and a half. That's pretty cool. But please like, share, and follow, and please go to my other pages and you can see my artworks. I mean, I post them here too. I just haven't posted a lot here lately, just because there's several things that I just can't show right now. Like I've got a comic book cover in the works right now that I can't show. Um, are you a bourbon guy as well? I like my scotch. I like bourbon. I've got Crown Royal sitting right here in my office. I do have another whiskey right here in my office. I don't drink on a regular basis because we actually go to the liquor store and we'll walk through the liquor store for 2 hours looking at every bottle, reading, seeing it, and we'll pick out, 4 or 5 bottles and bring them home. And there's some we haven't even cracked yet. We just think they're cool bottles. Like I've got some hot ones, spicy vodka, hot vodka. We've got uh, Fireball in there. We got a whiskey that we brought home. Um, of course, the Peach Crown Royal. But yeah, we don't drink it. We just collect it. We've got some sipping cream in the refrigerator that we've probably taken one small shot out of each, which is a chocolate peanut butter sipping cream moonshine, and then we've got a sipping cream orange moonshine as well. And we've taken maybe one drink out of all these bottles, except for there's probably 4 bottles that we haven't even touched, haven't even opened. Period. So it's not like we're just, well, here, let me pour another drink for myself. And but no, we don't do that. We're very very light drinkers, very 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 rare social drinkers as well. So, like we do occasional get-togethers here at the house, and we tell people to bring your own stuff, you know, and they will. I mean, they'll bring their own beers and things like that. So, and it's fine because I get it. People like to drink on get-togethers and cookouts and things of that nature. And it's just that we don't drink it enough to supply it enough. So, you know. But yeah, I will drink a scotch or a bourbon, every now and again on the rocks. But yeah, no, it's good and fun. But I appreciate each and every one of you being here, shouting out, commenting. But please follow, first of all, uh, and I'll follow you back. And as I like to say, as I leave everybody, we will catch you on the flip side. Have a good day, everybody.